Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Thank you all for returning back. I am so happy to see you guys.
We hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know certainly we are thankful for everybody that tunes in to every episode that we released. We're truly thankful from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all and I hope you love me too. Because we are a new podcast. It's like we are learning, we are making mistakes, but thank you for watching us make the mistakes and telling us. I'm like, sometimes, it's kind of hard, but we listen, we take the notes, and we keep on pushing.
We listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge. Okay, let's get into the episode. Today's case is about a young girl going through abuse by the hands of her mother. She had a hard life since she was born. Her older siblings tried to protect her. But on October 11, 2011, that was the last time that anyone has ever seen her again. This is the case of Jhessye Shockley. Jhessye Shockley was a 5-year-old girl living in Glendale, Arizona in 2011. She didn't have an easy life or a home life. She was abused on the daily and was overlooked by those that were supposed to protect her. Jhessye and her 3 older siblings, ages 6, 9, and 13, they stick together and supported one another. They were each other's safe place. They kept each other safe from their mother abuse. Now let's take it back a few years before Jhessye was born. Jerice Hunter was charged in California with 5 felonies, 4 counts of injury to a child, 1 count of torture. She alleged whipped her 3 and 7-year-old child with an extension cord and then a belt. She then punched her 14-year-old son during an argument, and then she beat him with a stick. At the time the abuse charge was brought against her, she was married to a man named George Edward Shockley. He was a convicted sex offender. He also participated in the beatings of the children. He failed to register as a sex offender. He would become the father of Jhessye in 2006. At the time of Jhessye's disappearance, he was actually in jail. At Jerice's trial, all the children had stated that she abused them for years. And the judge, he actually made a statement. Hunter should never have children. Jerice was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but she only served 4 years before being released in 2010. During the time that she was in prison, her children stayed with a family member. Once she was paroled, the children went back to live with her. Much of her family supported this decision, saying that she loved her children and became a better parent.
No, once she was accused of abuse, she should have never gotten her kids.
Never.
What? Who loves their kids by beating them? That's not love.
I just want everybody to remember the timeline. Just remember this. She got out of jail in 2010. I just want to remember this, okay?
Yeah.
On October 11, 2011, Jerica left the kids at home by themselves. She went to cash her check at a bank. When she returned home, she found the front door open. When she called out, she saw all her kids, but there was no sign of Jhessye. Jhessye was gone. Her kids told their mother they didn't know where she went. Strangely, around that time, a young girl matching Jhessye's description had been placed in a car by unknown woman. The woman was described as 25 to 35, African American. The car was a four-door 1998 to 2000 Malibu Chevrolet, with the car being parked at Glendale Road and 45th Avenue. The woman had her hair pulled back into the bun, and she weighed about 120 pounds. It was stated that the young girl did not resist being pulled into the car. In the aftermath of Jhessye's disappearance, her older siblings was taken into CPS, Child Protective Service, and placed in foster care. Jhessye was 8 months pregnant at this time, and CPS took this baby after it was born. She maintained her innocence in her daughter's disappearance and said that she thought her daughter had been abducted by a stranger, but she refused to cooperate with the investigators or take a lie detector test. On November 21st, 6 weeks after Jhessye was missing, Hunter was arrested for felony child abuse. Police said Jhessye was the victim and they believed she had been murdered. When the older siblings was in CPS, they finally was able to tell the police what happened to their younger sister. Jhessye's 13-year-old sister told investigators that her mom had kept Jhessye in a closet starting weeks prior before she went missing, and she was not feeding her at all. Jhessye's sister would sneak her food and water and know she had cuts and bruises and a black eye. The other children in the family said that they had seen the bruises too.
Jeez.
The last day Jhessye attended kindergarten was September the 22nd, 3 weeks before she went missing. After that, her mother kept her home, claiming she had a pink eye and a ringworm. Neither of these claims had been supported by a doctor. To me, it felt like she was hiding the abuse from the teacher.
Right. Like they were onto her or something.
Or her face was too beat for her to go to school.
But the fact that she had already served time for abuse should have been enough. She should have never gotten them.
Like her family, like, oh, let me tell you something. I don't know if I get called out for saying this, but you will see as the case go on, I'm mad at her family. I am so mad at her family.
I'm mad at her family, and the system that failed her.
Her sister claimed that she looked like a zombie. At sometimes, the sister reported that the closet began to smell like dead people.
Wow.
When her mother began to burn insects and deeply clean the apartment days before reporting Jhessye missing. The last day that Jhessye showed up for kindergarten was September the 22nd. Around this time, her siblings smelled the odor in the apartment. Jhessye was seen purchasing bleach and other cleaning supplies in the local Walgreens. It's like she already had abuse. Like, she went to jail for this.
Right.
And they just like happily gave her kids back. I just don't get the system sometimes. Like, the systems make it so hard. I don't know if guys, you see this Netflix show. I think it's Maya, Protecting Maya, where everybody thought like she had the disease. And the doctors assumed that her mother was abusing her and all that, but she wasn't. Her mother committed suicide because they were just coming at her. And then her mother, like, they found out later on that the mother wasn't abusing her child. Like, her child actually had a disease. That's why it looked like she was abused. But this parent right here had the charges. Her kids stood on that stand and said, my mom is beating me for years. And they could have said more, but, we don't know everything that they said because it probably was like, closed trial. And for her to get out of jail, she didn't even serve her full term. She served half of it. To get out of jail and immediately get your kids back, and then her family like, yeah, we support her. She loves. No, she doesn't.
The inmates clearly did not know that she went in for child abuse, because if they did, they probably would have ended her.
I mean, when I look at this case, it was so hard for like me to just to process it. I think like I was like typing in, I was getting so mad. You're like, what's wrong? Like, this case? It's like cases like this are so hard because you just see the kid getting failed. What's next? Well, sorry.
In this case, we know.
Yeah. Jhessye was arrested, but then she was released. Authorities did not want to create a double jeopardy. They performed a search of the apartments and collected evidence. Authorities began to search the Butterfield landfill, saying that they had evidence that the body might be placed in a trash bag due to the tip from the silent witness. Despite searching lasting for months, Jhessye's body has never been found. In March of 2013, the Stinnett family filed a $10 million lawsuit against the state of Arizona and the Glendale Police Department and CPS for Jhessye wrongfully death. They sued the state, the police department, and the CPS. They alleged that CPS was neglectful when they returned Jhessye to her mother's custody.
Didn't they want the kids to be returned to their mother?
Someone was like, oh, she learned. But then someone was like, but it was like a toss-up. Some of them said that she shouldn't have the kids back. So it wasn't all of them.
Oh.
But I don't know what... I look into the lawsuit. That's a whole different thing. I'm not even going to discuss that. But some of them that believe that she should have not had the kids, they, sued them. But to me, it's like, why would you sue them?
Because they didn't want them to have the kids. It went against everything that they wanted.
A lot of CPS and the foster care system, we can get this more into theories. Well, it's not really a theories because this case is solved. But the CPS, the foster care system, they try their hardest to get parents back with their kids. I feel like if it's abuse and you see the abuse, you see the child hurt, and you can see and they say like, hey, my mom did do this, and they go to jail for this, I feel like that parent rights should be just gone.
Right.
I feel like that kid should never, ever go back home. Never.
That and future kids. Because a lot of the times they'll abuse the older ones and then they'll have new ones and then they abuse the younger ones.
In April of 2015, the trial of the murder of Jhessye began. The defense team argued that the state case is circumstantial because the girl's body has never been found. And the witness told police they saw Jhessye get into a car near the family apartment the day that she was reported missing. Another witness told investigators they saw Jhessye running from the complex. Prosecutors said during an open argument that Jhessye stuffed Jhessye's body in a suitcase and asked her neighbor to drive her out of the complex, where she dumped the suitcase in a garbage bin. Hundreds of volunteers spent 2012 campaigning through a landfill in an unsuccessfully attempt to prove that theory. Throughout the trial, the prosecutor told juries that, according to Jhessye's cousin, Jhessye has never been with Jhessye. Jhessye, who had missed more than 2 weeks of school before Jhessye reported her missing. Jhesye's daughter told the court that she saw Jhessye with black goo coming out of her eye, and that the girl was barely able to walk while living in the home.
Wow.
Jhessye's neighbor said that she seemed calm after dishing the suitcase and never completed her original plan of going to Tempe, which was to sell clothing to get money for food. Forensic analysts show that a large stain from underneath the carpet in Jhessye's closet is mostly Jhessye's. As the trial went on, they called a couple people to the stand to testify. One of the people was the neighbor. The neighbor told the jury that Jhessye had asked him for a ride to sell shoes in Tempe. When the neighbor went to give her a ride, Jhessye brought along a big, heavy suitcase. Jhessye allegedly took the suitcase and deposited in a dumpster. The other person that they called on the stand was Glendale police officer Sergeant Mark, who led the case. He said that he returned to the house weeks after Jhessye went missing. Jhessye had alleged called 911 again, this time over money. Jhessye was upset that the people had been raising money for Jhessye, but she had not been receiving it. When Mark asked Jhessye about the call, he said that she slammed the door in his face. A shocking key witness was Jhessye's daughter. She said on the stand, "You guys are making my mom as a bad person. Just because we get spankings or something, that doesn't make her a bad person."
It does.
Jhessye, who sat at the defense table in a short, sleeveless black and blue shirt, told her daughter that she loved her. Her daughter said, "I love you too."
Either she was making up an act because her mom asked her, or she's been living that life for so long that it's been normalized to her. Because whatever she's doing is not right.
The girl testified that the last time that she saw Jhessye was in her mother's closet, about a week before Jhessye reported her missing. The girl said that she brought Jhessye food and water. The girl testified that Jhessye had bruises on her buttocks, legs, and back, but she couldn't explain how she saw the bruises. She was hurt, I guess, the girl said. She had black stuff coming out of her eye, like goo, and she wanted me to take her to the bathroom, but she couldn't walk that much. The jury deliberated less than just 4 hours Monday morning. The jury notified Supreme Court Judge Rose Mraz, who dismissed a member of the panel for a medical reason. Later that day, it was found that the jury was actually pregnant and she was having medical issues during her pregnancy. After the change, it took the jury less than more than an hour to come to a verdict. They found her guilty. Onlookers said Jhessye appeared stoic as the verdict was read, but her mother, Shirley Johnson, she screamed out that Jhessye is not dead before getting dragged out the courtroom by security.
How does she know? She don't know.
Right. That baby is not dead, Johnson said. I don't mean to yell, but I am disturbed that they have reduced this baby to a grave so they can take her out the National Missing Person Registry so they don't have to look for her anymore because she is black. I'm telling you the truth. If she was a blonde hair, blue eye, that baby would be all over still on the National Registry. Jhessye was sentenced to life in jail without parole, plus 20 years in jail for child abuse. To this day, Jhessye's body hasn't been found. Before we end this case, Jhessye was a 5-year-old girl that had a bright future. Her life just started and it ended too soon. This is one of the hardest cases I have ever talked about. So many people let this little girl down. She's supposed to be alive right now, enjoying life, but she had to deal with the abuse of her mother. She didn't have a chance. This is the case of Jhessye Shockley. This case is actually solved. So I feel like we're not going to get into theories. We're just going to tell our opinions of this case.
Okay.
Now, let's get into some opinions. My opinions on this case, it's just heartbreaking. That's all I can say and discuss about this case. That little girl just went through so much because, like I said in the episode, these are the years. Her mom got in 2010. Jhessye went missing in 2011. So you tell me you couldn't be a decent mother for a year? For a year that your child was already, your kids wasn't in your custody that long. And one of them is missing, possibly murdered. And her kids were like, yeah, we smelled death. But I wonder when people saw, like, the witnesses say, like, oh yeah, we saw a little girl get in the car. I wonder if that really was Jhessye or another little girl. Because it seemed like she was dead. Like, that's why her mom moved her body. Because her siblings, like, yeah, we smelled death in the house. Like, it smelled like dead people. It was just nasty. Her mom was cleaning. For her to do that, it seemed like Jhessye was already deceased.
Right. I just want to know why Jhessye. She had so many other kids. Why Jhessye?
We would never know because it seemed like most parents that abuse their kids, they always go heavy on one kid, just one kid. It's this case, I think we watched it on ID channel on Max, and I don't remember the lady's name, but she killed both her kids. I think you remember them too.
Yeah, I remember.
She
put them in the freezer.
Yeah, she put them in the freezer.
But I wonder if, because she had been charged with the 3 older ones, maybe CPS had a closer look on them?
What?
I don't know if that's a thing.
It don't seem like it. It seemed like the CPS was like, okay, here, take them back. To me, as I stated in the case, I feel like if you abuse your kids and it's proof of it and you go to jail for it, your rights should be counseled right then and right there. You should not.
For those kids and any future kids, in my opinion.
You should not have the right to get your kids back because look at this situation. Mm-hmm. She served 4 years out of 8 and she got her daughter back and then her daughter's missing. She didn't have her for a year and her daughter's gone.
And then there was an anonymous person that tipped off, unless it was like one of her siblings.
Mm-hmm. It's just sad thing about her life.
She never stood a chance.
Her mom was abusive. Her dad was a sex offender. We don't know if he touched her siblings.
Her or her siblings.
Right, so we don't know what happened behind closed doors. Because this tripped me out when mothers put a man over their kids. Like, it's just disgusting to me. Because you found out he was a sex offender, you had a kid with him, and you were still married and dealing with him.
Unless she was jealous of her youngest daughter because he had some type of interest, which is so sick and twisted. But a lot of the times when they feel like their own kid or any woman, any person takes their partner's attention, like they become even more hostile.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a little girl. Like, she didn't even have those intentions or that mindset. Like, it's just so disturbing.
That's what most people believe. Like, most women, they are jealous. And they feel like, oh, my man got this attention on my daughter. I don't like my daughter. No, that's when you protect your daughter. That's when you go and fight for your daughter's life.
If you're a sane woman, if you're not, then...
And the family members that say, hey, she's a good mother. She was not a good mother. I know that some parents spank their kids, okay? But what she did to those kids, you punch your son and then you beat him with a stick. That's not a spanking. That's a beat down. That's abuse. I would never just punch my daughter and beat her with a stick. First of all, that's like, she can't make me that mad for me to do that. I would have to walk off from the situation. Like, to see my child bloody and crying on the floor and abused from what I did, I couldn't stomach that. I couldn't, as a mother, as a human being.
Yep.
Like, that's why this case is so hard. Like, it's a solved case. I mean, I hate that they haven't found her body yet.
When did George go to jail?
Well, they never said when he went to jail. He went to jail a couple of times. So it was like he was off and on in jail because he would get out, but he never like would report himself as a sex offender, or he would do something who would be around kids and he'd go back to jail because somebody would say.
And that's another thing. How are you a sex offender and they don't make you report?
They supposed to. It's a known thing you're supposed to report.
Exactly. So right then and there, like, whatever jurisdiction they were under, like, they failed them miserably. And yeah, kudos to the family who sued them, because unfortunately, like, we lost Jhessye, but maybe this can help address some of the issues that this jurisdiction had.
And just CPS in general. I feel like CPS workers are overworked, let's start with that. And they don't have enough people and they're underpaid. So it's like, when you underpaid and you overwork and you're tired, just give up. I'm not excusing that. I'm not excusing it at all. But I have a couple family members and friends that in CPS. I mean,
but look at doctors. Doctors are short staffed, work long hours, and you can't just give up. That's the field that you go into. You cannot not care. They don't have the luxury to not care. A lot of the times, like, say we go to work, we're like, okay, I don't really care if I make this little mistake because it's not a big deal. But whenever, like, kids' lives are in jeopardy, you can't have that. There is no room for mistakes.
Right. And I agree wholly. Like, I agree with you. And that's what's hard about this case is they let her down. And we have seen this before on another case we have did. They have let them down. It's like, how many cases that it's going to happen to? Like, how many cases is going to happen to? Like,
yeah. Hopefully it brings awareness.
I feel like for that moment, I feel like it brings awareness for that moment.
But it should cost people's jobs and people's lives behind bars.
Right. And it's like she kept getting pregnant. She just kept getting pregnant. I'm glad, like, the youngest baby, they wouldn't have to go through the abuse. They just took their child. I'm glad they stepped up and did that. But you should have been did that.
At what cost, though?
You shouldn't have Jhessye getting murdered and then you're like, oh, let me step up and be a decent person. It's sickening. I just hate it for her that she had to go through that. I'm just like on a timeline. 2010 to 2011? Really?
Yeah.
Really? I just have to say that I wish in the law we had more rules about this situation. I know CPS like, oh, let's get the family back together, but I feel like some people shouldn't be parents.
Right.
She shouldn't have got back her kids at all. And her family that believed that she was a changed woman, they always change. Oh my God, everybody always change. Like, oh yeah, I was wrong. I changed my ways. They always change. That's the honeymoon stage. But they ain't gonna go back to what they knew of.
Yeah, they're just better at hiding it.
Think about her kids. They were like, oh, they probably happy. They had to stand on the stand and say what their mother did to them. See her get convicted, but then see her come back and live with her. They probably was scared out of their mind. What if she just immediately like beat them up like as soon as they walked through the door because they told on her. I mean, some of them seemed like they was older. Like the boy was 14. He probably was like 18 or 19 by then when she got to jail. So he probably didn't have to deal with her. But the 3-year-old and the 7-year-old, it's just sickening, guys. It's just so sickening. And I'm so sorry for those kids that went through that. And I'm so sorry for kids that did go through that but then got out of it. Like if you was one of those kids that was abused by their parents, I am so sorry for what has happened to you and what you had to go through. I hope that you get the therapy and the help that you need. And I'm so sorry for you. This is our case, and thank you for the person who suggested this case. It was a hard case for me to read and look into, but thank you. Remember, we are on all social medias. I do True Crime 1 Minute. You can check it out. I'll post it on TikTok, and I also post it on our YouTube channel. You can check out, but mostly I post it on TikTok. I'm trying to get more and posting on YouTube, the little shorts. But come check it out. Come tell me your theories. I have so many people commenting on the theories on True Crime 1 Minute because some of these cases need more light. Follow us on Spotify, Apple. Give us a 5-star review. I feel like we should start reading reviews out on the podcast. So leave your review and we're going to read it next time you come on live. This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
See you later.
Deuce.
Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.